All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started looking at some of these charts, stock picks you guys want me to look at. I'll give you kind of a broad readout on how the week closed out, and then that's really all I've got. So give me an audio check. Let me know if I sound okay, if everything's coming through, and then we'll get into these charts. These charts do get messy, obviously, especially the end of the week, because come Friday, my brain's pretty toast, so I don't go through and clean up the charts. And sometimes on these Saturday live streams, I have an opportunity to do that. So we'll just go ahead and look at, triple Qs. We'll start off here. Obviously, that's been where there's been a lot of strength. I mean, the people that are bullish, I mean, the price action obviously has been up since we kind of broke out of that consolidation range right here. This is a weekly chart here, so let me know if my audio sounds okay, guys. I do definitely want to get that audio check. I haven't seen that come through yet. But this was kind of the consolidation range, so we were short through here. I was looking for downside, and that lasted almost two months, really. It was a month and a half at least of just sideways consolidation. And then it started to break to the upside, and at that point, we sounds like I'm a little hard to hear today. Okay, let me see if I can adjust that, guys. Let me know if that's any better. All right. Let me actually turn this up just a little bit, see if that helps. So we traded sideways, obviously, for there, and then it started to break out, and that's where we stopped out. All right, so it was a short trade that got stopped out, and I have not really been short since. I took one shot in the, and we just stopped out for just pretty much flat, and then I haven't really been short, so pretty much nothing substantial since this consolidation range. All right, sorry, guys. I don't know why. Let me see. I don't know. My microphone. See if I can turn that up. I don't exactly know why all of a sudden randomly the sound is horrible. Okay. So I just moved my mic closer, so we'll see if that works out. All right. So, no short trade. Obviously, didn't catch the move up, on the long side. But there really hasn't been a technical case unless you're following unless it's just price action, okay? Obviously, price action is up, and if you chase trends, then, yeah, you made some money. Or if you just believed the entire time we're entered a new bull market. But the reality is most people don't really realize a lot of the buying has taken place kind of in this last little bit right here. And, to me, that looks like it's just chasing a trend, kind of chasing a move. That's not really what I'm, I don't chase trends. So we'll get long if the technicals say so. But as of right now, the technicals don't say so. There are some signs showing up. So we'll look at, the daily here. On the daily, all right, former resistance, you can see two key reaction points on the daily chart here and here. All right, and we're right there now. All right, at resistance. So that's it on that one. We are at resistance on the triple Qs. And so we'll see if we get some sort of rejection. So far on Friday, you could see they popped it above that. And I know I have two lines because I got to clean this up because my charting platform was not showing my lines. And then all of a sudden they started showing back up again. It's about right there. So you can see we popped above that trend line resistance on Friday, but then the seller stepped in and sold it down. So still closing below there. On the daily, let's check this divergence because I know it was really close. So, still close enough to where we can say we have divergence. Any higher, and we're going to kind of burn right through that on the PPO. Still close enough to say it. So next week, that'll be telling next week. If we get rejected, and sometimes they'll push things right to the very edge and then it'll reverse. And we're kind of right there at that edge, Triple Qs has gone parabolic, and to me, this is not like, if you look at like a bear move, I mean, it could be another blow off top. We could take out the highs. I could definitely see that. I mean, you break above right here, you're likely going to go pop the highs. All right. And that, I just would say that's very likely. If we start to break above this 371.75, you're probably going to go make an equal high and very likely pop the highs. All right. Doesn't mean you're going to put in a brand new strong trend beyond that, but I think it's possible to pop those highs if we break out. Let's get down to the hourly chart. Little uptrend right here on the hourly on the triple Qs, okay? And you can see we're just pretty much, we're walking up that trend since the Fed. All right, this is all action, price action since the Fed. Fed was on Tuesday, or Fed was on Wednesday. I apologize. And then this is pretty much the price action since the Fed, closing kind of right at that support. So I didn't go home short. I think we might, we do have a divergent high on the daily, or sorry, on the hourly. Here it is. So you got a high and you got a lower high. So there it is. So this price action is divergent highs, which would tell me that we're likely going to break down, but we didn't actually break this little trend line on the hourly. So I didn't take a short. Maybe they gap it down over the weekend. It's hard to say. I just don't want to take a position into the weekend when we don't have a sell signal. So we'll see how next week plays out. But we are at decent resistance right here. So I would think we at least at a minimum get some sort of a pullback. And if you're a bull, you have a major support line here on the daily. This is kind of this is the trend since pretty much all year of 2023 in triple Qs. And, you've gone parabolic. So I think a move down to that trend line is very probable. And I would target, right around that 346.50 area. Looks pretty decent. So that's really where I'm thinking it goes. But again, we didn't break that trend line on the hourly, so I can't take a short. I'd be looking for that to break, and then probably could take a short for a move down to this trend line. And then you'll likely get a bounce there. So that's all I've got on that one. And then if I look at the SPY, on the SPY, kind of like in the middle of this range right here. You've got resistance up here about 358.46, and then you've got support down here at 429.33, right in there. Decent support there at 429. So if that pullback is going to come, your SPY will probably come down like that. All right, and then you got support down there. All right, if there's more downside, triple Qs is going to break that longer term trend line, and then the SPY will obviously start to head lower as well. But I wouldn't bet on it until we see it. So for now, just potentially looking for some pullbacks next week. Tradable, it will be a tradable pullback on the triple Qs. That's a move, if we get it, obviously, of about 5%, 5.5%. So might be able to capture that. I mean, look, do I want to be long right here? Do I want to go long, or do I want to look for a short? I'd rather look for a short and go long right here at this support line. That's a lot lower risk. It's more objective. So maybe like that, and then obviously, yeah, we could go on to make new highs. It's hard to say. All right. That's all I really have on those ones. So what else do we have? That's interesting. Obviously, wheat was in play last week. We've been long this one for a while, starting to actually work now. This is the wheat ETN. So I point out there's two charts I look at when I'm looking at this wheat trade. One is the wheat ETN. This is what I'm positioned in. And then if you're a future trader, or even if you're not, you want to watch these futures, this is the other one. So to the private member group, wheat ETN started to break out, but the wheat futures had not broken out of this bullish falling wedge. All right. And then obviously on Thursday, right when I saw it starting to break and it was on the hourly chart, we started to do this. And this is where I pointed out to the private member group that we're starting to break out and it looks like this is about to run. And that was accurate, and it's continued. So that really puts the wheat trade in play. From my perspective, we just had a bullish breakout of this long bullish falling wedge pattern, and we're just starting to break out. So it's by the dip at this point. And you had bullish divergence the entire time. So again, divergences don't give you an indication that to take a position. You don't take a position only based on divergence. All right, if I talk about bullish or negative divergence, I'm not saying go long or go short just because that's there. I'm merely saying that's a condition, and if that condition exists, we frame our charts and frame our mindset to look for specific, specific things, breakouts or breakdowns. And we just had the breakout here, and the bullish divergence told me it was coming, and there it is. So now it's by the dip. All right, how high does it go? Well, you just hit some resistance here on the futures, right? It's right there at 711. So you might get a pullback here, and then I've got some support down here. Really, there's some support, decent support right down there at 662. Any kind of dip down into the support ranges, that's where you buy, from my perspective, because I think it's starting to trend higher. All right, so we're gonna work our way higher over time. All right, so that's that one, and then obviously the wheat ETN. I really like. I mean, obviously you've got way up here 951. I do think that we're probably going to work our way up there over time. This is to me now a trend trade. That I'm not looking to day trade this thing. I'm probably looking to just add on dips. All right, and then we'll. Look for key areas. There's some resistance right here. About 730. You've got the 200-day. I would say very, very likely that you're going to, at a minimum, hit the 200-day SMA. Right now, it's up at 760. Depends on when you actually get there. And then you have resistance right there at 730. So, you could run up and, some resistance right up there. I would say it's very likely we hit that at this point. All right, that's that one. Don't need to go into that one too much. All right, James, appreciate the super chat. Let me take a look. You've got Palantir and Tesla. Well, let's take a look. All right, the thing is, when James says Palantir has become profitable and works with governments and private sector firms. And that's great, but the thing is that that's fundamental analysis, and it's priced in. Everybody knows that they've become profitable. It's not unknown. So typically that's already in the price. What's not in the price is maybe how profitable. What's the expectations of profit? Is there more profit than everybody's expecting, or things like that. So maybe that's not in the price, but them just being profitable, it's already priced in as the firms, the algos, they grab that, they make a move, and it's already priced in. At least, that's kind of the true form of technical analysis, is the public information gets priced in very quickly. So on this one, obviously a rip rally here. This is just the tech mania that's really been going on. I mean, this was a divergent low right here. This was your last divergent low. I mean, you had a buy signal kind of right in here and was definitely holding this shelf of support. So that's all in the past now. So, from where we're at now, all right, so there's your negative divergence starting to show up on the daily. See it right there? So see how we're just creeping higher in price, kind of inching higher, and then the momentum's dropping off. You already have a bearish PPO crossover there. So you have the divergence on the PPO, and it's slightly there on the RSI. So that's that's a condition that that's a condition of to look for short setups or exit longs. Not necessarily an action. It doesn't give you a sell signal or anything like that, but it is a condition. But look at the hourly. You had this uptrend line. You're kind of drifting sideways. It looks like there's some support right here about 1490. You can see on the hourly that was kind of former resistance. Then it broke above, and once it did, it was pretty much support. A little breakdown here, but still holding that. There's enough reactions, I think, to validate that. We just made a divergent high on, is that Friday? Yeah, a new divergent high on Friday. So they gapped it up on Friday, which was a divergent high. Divergent highs get sold into typically, and that's what happened. Looks like it's flagging, so I don't know. I would say lower, and then you've got that support right there at 1490. So, you know, you've got to break that in order for this to start to roll over, and then price target would be right there, 1032. It's pretty clean and obvious reaction level. So I would think that you probably, you know, you probably have a little flag or something and then do that, you know. And then possibly lower, but that would be, I would be leaning that way, but I, again, need to start to see some breakdowns of key levels. And on the daily chart, 1490-ish looks like a key level. You even could probably, yeah, that's really where I'd go with. This isn't a load the boat stock either. I mean, this one is up 132% since May. So, you know, early May. You know, 6 weeks, it's up 132%. That's a pretty extended move. Oh, look at this. I also have this blue line right here. See, this is major. This was major support, you know, because you had several reactions there. And if I extend it out, boom, right there. Look at that. See? So look, support. And then, you know, some reactions right in there. There was enough reactions to kind of validate that as a, you know, as a line. And then as I zoom in, look. Oh, sorry. I'm not trying to move the line. Resistance. All right. So I would say it just hit major resistance, and yeah, it's at resistance. You've got divergence building. I would have to guess lower. Okay. Could pop that briefly, run some stops. But, you know, do you want to bet that? I don't know. You know, I'd be looking for a short trade here, really. At least a pullback, not necessarily like a trend trade. I'm not saying like, okay, that's the end of the move, but I would probably be looking for that pullback down to about 1040. Okay, that's that one. And then Tesla, let's look here. I think Tesla's running up to this 298, 299 area. That's kind of the downtrend. So Tesla's been in a downtrend. There's 3 reactions. To me, it looks like that's where it's heading. Okay. If it does that, it will still be in a downtrend. All right, making lower lows and lower highs. So that's where it looks likely. If I zoom in, let me look at the near-term time frame. See, I don't. You do have some divergence barely on the PPO. It's not there in the RSI. It's barely there in the PPO, and it's not confirmed. So, yeah, I wouldn't short this. I would definitely wouldn't short it right now. There's no sell signal. And you've got major resistance just overhead. To me, it seems like that's where it's headed. If I look at the hourly, so you're just walking up this kind of hourly trend line. Starting to build some divergence on the hourly. So maybe you get a pullback. There's a gap to fill here. Okay. So I don't know if it's going to just march straight up to that trend line. You might get a little pullback, or even you might do this. All right. And maybe I will short it if we get this. I need a sell signal. I need, at a minimum, I need a break of this trend line. Maybe you go like this and then hit the trend line. This is your major trend line. All right. And then maybe you hit that and then boom, like that. All right. I'd say, I mean, that's what I think could happen. You know, could go like that and then that. I do think you're going to hit this. I just don't know if it's just going to do it straight up or if you're going to get the pullback and then you run up and hit it. But I think that would be a target. And then at that point there, it's likely going to get rejected. But we'll see. The divergences aren't really that strong to tell me on the daily. I just don't see enough in the daily to tell me that we're not going to hit this downtrend line. I think we probably will with what I see here. But then on the hourly, I can see some divergence starting to build. So it could tell, that kind of tells me, okay, shorter time frame, maybe we do this down here, then we go up there. It's the best I can do. So watch for breaks of, trend line for further clues. All right, that's that one. Thanks for that super chat. Appreciate that. Starting back at the top, SMCI. What do we got here? SMCI, Super Micro Computer. Okay. Let me get to the daily. Yeah, so I've already covered this one. It's pretty much gone parabolic. It's put in a divergent high on the daily right there. So that means when they move this thing up in price here, the momentum was dropping. It was less momentum. Okay, so that tells me that was the top. And then if I go to, if I go to the hourly, probably mark something like this. About right there. I like that. On the hourly, you can see I've captured pretty much the lows. I've captured that reaction. I've got that one. I've got that one. And I've got a break. All right. So looks like a sell signal. They might back test it on Monday and then roll. That's really hard to say. That's why you can enter positions in phases. So when you get an initial sell signal, take a position, add to it when it breaks the lows, maybe kind of the most recent support level. Really looks like it's about there. So you can add to it when it breaks support or on back tests. To me, it looks like this is going to roll over. You've got a gap to fill, so that would be a target. Would be this gap fill. Gap entry is a target. Gap entry, gap fill, and then obviously going back to the daily, you have a longer term support line down here. So I would say decent odds that you get down there, probably like this. Boom, bounce up to about 2017.60. Fill gap, bounce, like that. Okay. That's that one. Not bad. Not a bad short trade, really. This is I don't know what they do, but it's a tech company. We're going to add this to the shorts and see how it opens Monday. I already have it. Cool. DKNY. This one hasn't broke trend yet, I don't think. Let me check. Yeah, so this one, bearish rising wedge. All right, it's getting pretty mature, so bearish rising wedge. Closing right at support. I definitely was checking this one out on Friday, but it hadn't broke yet, so no position. I was going to point it out when I saw it, but there it is. Negative divergence on the daily, bearish rising wedge. It's ready to break. The measured target would be the widest part of the wedge, which is about there. So, I don't know. Somewhere right in there. Down to this reaction point. 200-day moving average just depends on kind of what comes in. But I think this one's about to go, but it hasn't broke yet. So I got to just see that. Maybe we get that breakdown on Monday. Maybe it's a gap down. You see a gap down, they'll probably gap it down. They'll probably bid it up in the morning, and then it rolls over, and you'll have a swing trade on your hands. Netflix. This one was still holding support last time I checked. Yeah, so you've got this right there, just that. It's a bearish rising wedge. It's not super well-defined one. It's almost a channel, but you could say it's a bearish. Well, actually, let me double-check that. Clean this up here. Yeah, I think my trend line's good. And we're right there. We have another reaction. Boom. At resistance, so probably going to come down to support here. You don't have a major sell signal until you break that support line. And that hasn't happened. But, I think you probably pull back. And then slight divergence. This is a divergent high. See the divergence? So you made there's your high and a slightly lower high. So it is diverging. PPO looks like it's about to start to cross over. Higher high in price, lower high in momentum is divergence. The RSI doesn't have it. And that's pretty much the case, I think, across a lot of these tech stocks. The RSI does not have the divergence. So, okay, so I'd put decent odds you come down here and hit that, but the break of the trend line is really the major move for swing traders, and we don't have that yet. So that's Netflix, MA, MasterCard. That one looks like it's back testing again. It's still, I saw that on, it's still kind of working its way. You broke trend. It's just this little battle going on after we broke trend. Not really going up, not going down, just kind of grinding around. So eventually I think this does roll, but we're probably going to need to see some of these tech stocks, these tech leaders start to break trend, and then the rest of these things are going to follow. But yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with this short trade. Again, we have negative divergence on the daily. We broke up trend. We're just resolving. Eventually it'll start to work its way lower, I believe. And if it doesn't, or if it recovers the trend line, we stop out. Nike. Let me look here. Nike. Okay, so Nike. You got earnings coming up on Nike, so take note of that. That's key. This is a downward trend that started back, at the all-time highs. Didn't really have bullish divergence. You don't always get it, but pretty big breakout above that trend line. And support there. Just hit support here. I don't see a whole lot, honestly. It's not bearish. I wouldn't short it. If anything, it's kind of a sideways, potentially sideways. We might just be in this like sideways. I kind of like this right here. We might just be in the sideways trading range. All right, with the lows being 103.50 and the highs being 128.77, right in the middle right here. So no action to be taken, but maybe look at that range. You could probably take shots at that range. All right. Baba, that one I looked at last week. I don't think there's probably any change there. No change here. I mean, you don't. Well, you do have the bullish Actually, I'm getting a little bit of a different look here now. I guess that I didn't see last week. You have a bullish divergence. I didn't actually see that, which is kind of interesting. There it is on the daily chart. We just made a new. That's a divergent low right there. All right. So that is actually bullish divergence. So I would be looking more for a long on this one now that I see that. Sorry for just not seeing that. And then let me clean this up. So what you want to look for is a buy signal. And oh yeah, that is a buy signal right there. That looks like a buy signal to me. You have a resistance, and there's a reaction there. And then you gapped up and you held. And you have bullish divergence. That looks like a buy signal. Yeah, that's it. I would want to look long for that one. Look for these reaction highs to be resistance. Probably tighten that up just to grab that data point. That looks like a good target to me. About 122.40. You're likely going to get a reaction there. This could be, this could want to go higher. You've got gaps to fill. So I've got that marked out. 160.82. I like that. Actually, long. Let me add that to my long. Put it on the long one. Nice find. Sorry I didn't see that bullish divergence last week. but it is there. All right. UNH, is that the healthcare one? It's down heavily with divergence on the daily. Let me look. Yeah. Must have been, I know the healthcare stocks, this one, I think this was leading the other ones lower on some news maybe. So it has divergence, but it's not confirmed. Here's the thing. All right, you've got like that, okay? And so you're creeping lower in price. There's a divergent low, okay? And then you obviously you had that reaction. Okay, now you just made a new divergent low here, but it's not confirmed. The PPO is heading straight down. Okay, so not confirmed. And then if I look at the RSI, it is divergence on the RSI. They're just not confirmed. So again, you don't want to just buy something because it has divergence. You need to wait for a buy signal. And usually what you want to see is, okay, if I have divergence, does it confirm? Okay, does the PPO cross back up? Yes, it did confirm. Great. All right, now has it broke trendline resistance? Yes, it did break trendline resistance. Okay, now I can buy it. Eliminate the risk factors to put the trade, in your probability. This one doesn't have any of those conditions right now. So there's a downtrend line here. Yeah, so it's hard to take a position here on this chart. It's pretty choppy. Yes, it could run up and do that. I don't see anything telling me it can't do that right here. I also don't see anything telling me it's going to do that. So for me, it's a no touch. And if anything, it looks like it's starting a downtrend, okay, on healthcare, or on this one at least. Or it could be sideways. You don't have to go down. Sometimes you just consolidate sideways. Look at the XLV too. That'll help you on these healthcare stocks. And see the healthcare, I've got them. Here's an uptrend in the healthcare going back. We throw out COVID, just that's an outlier. And then to me, it just looks like we're in this big sideways topping range, I guess. But who knows how long that exists. And we're right in the middle. So kind of a no touch on that one. All right. PayPal, let me look. That one was kind of lagging, right? It didn't really rally, but maybe it is going to catch a bid. Usually when you have a strong tech stock rally, then people start searching for just weak ones for momentum. Momentum traders do, basically. You've got divergence on the RSI, and it's not quite there on the PPO, but it's pretty close. I would say maybe give it the benefit of the doubt. But the buy signal would have come on a break of this downtrend line right here. All right, so for me, that would be my buy signal. I'm not interested in it here, but you get up here and then you break out. That would be my buy signal, provided that it's not a breakout with negative divergence. All right. All right, what else do we have? SA, is that the stock? Someone says SA. Or EUTLF? I don't know what that is. I don't know what the symbol that you're asking for. EUTLF? Must be this one. Penny stock, junk stock. Not a lot of history. So I prefer to not trade these, to be honest. They're really low liquidity. The thing is, you can get pumpers that come in here, even YouTubers. I know there's a couple YouTubers that only trade low float stocks. And you get in here with a low float trading group, they can just eat your lunch. So it's just not worth it, because those guys get in here and they'll pump like volume on these things that are like all-time high volume that, you never know when that's going to happen. So I'm going to move on from that one. Just nothing there. Let's see here. Triple M. Okay. So go to the Triple M. This is a daily chart. This one is kind of an inflation trade, and I am kind of looking at that potentially catching it the next leg higher in the inflation trade since the Fed just kind of backed off. You know, maybe the inflation trade starts to run. That's a divergent low right there. Okay. Boom. That's a divergent low. You see the divergence? So when you were breaking down, it was a breakdown with bullish divergence. High probability to be a false breakdown, and sure enough, boom, false breakdown. So that's bullish. Very likely you're going to run up to this trend line here. I would say good probability. You have some resistance right here at 107.41. Very high probability you're going to go up there. So from here, you know, 2.5% up. Probably get a little pullback there as the sellers step in. And then I think it's likely you're going to break to the upside and hit this trend line. From there, you're probably going to have to do that. And then the long-term buy signal or swing trade would be a break of that downtrend line. All right. To me, this looks like a good long setup. This is long. This is big bullish divergence. That actually is like that. Okay. So to me, this looks like a good long setup. Not necessarily actionable right here. I mean, the false breakdown would have been a great buy point if you could grab it right as it recovered. That's very objective. Here, not as much objective. So it's objective to buy down here at support or a break of this resistance. You could buy there. A break of this resistance, you could buy there. All right. Once you break here, you can buy. And if it comes down to support, it's objective to buy there. Okay. So that's how I would trade that. Let me make sure I have this one on my long list because it's decent. Chewy. Well, Chewy's one of those ARK Invest stocks. So, yeah, you might squeeze on this one. I think that's resistance. I have to adjust that. But that looks like resistance now. Let me kind of right about in there. 1, 2, 3 data points. Okay, that's a trend. And we're close to resistance. All right. No divergence really that I could say. So I don't see an indication of, you know, all I know is that's resistance. So a break of that, and yeah, you could have you could have a rally there until you see the break. You know, this is bullish divergence here on the daily. See it right there. Boom. See how the momentum started to move higher on the RSI and the PPO as price dipped lower. That's a divergent low, and boom, gap up. So, and you're running right to that major resistance. So you break that, that could run. All right. But I would want to see that break. Oh, Palantir's an AI mania. Yeah, there's definitely AI mania. People just chasing stuff. There's just narratives that come out and then just people just chase it. And most people lose money on manias, rallies like that. You know, the early people make money, and then the majority of people get in late to the party. It can continue a little higher, but ultimately, the most people lose money. Okay, and few make most of the money, like Bitcoin. You know, you think about that. Most people, the bulk of people, lost money on Bitcoin because they bought up at the highs, basically, because that's when all the pumping and euphoria came. The early people, when it wasn't really talked about, made all the money. All right. All right, we're getting close. Hopefully I've covered a lot of these ones. Sorry if I skipped yours. Pool. Is that Whirlpool? What's Pool? Pool Corporation. Probably a dividend pair. Yeah, minor dividend pair. So that's your downtrend in this one, pool. Walking our way up to the trend line. Yeah, you had some bullish divergence showing up. So yeah, you could see it running up to that trend line or getting to the trend line. The thing is, it can do this. It can do this and just barely go up. It can pull back and then go up. That's why, like, at this level right here, I just don't see a trade. All right, the trade comes on when you start breaking trend lines or at resistance. You know, you hit resistance, you could short. You break a trend line, that you could go long, as long as you don't have divergence. So that's it on that one. For solar, that one's been creeping lower. I'm not in it, but it has been trending lower. This is your upward price channel that this thing was just like relentless on. Really, it had a really kind of a spooky move right here. This is an island cluster. It's not an island cluster bottom because those typically come at the end of extended downtrends, and this did not come at the end of an extended downtrend. So not really a cluster, but you gap down, you go lower, then you gap up huge. That's a squeeze. You know, when you're like this, because you gap down, shorts take the short, then you gap up and just squeeze them. That's brutal. All right, then it sells down, and now it's probably going to continue to trend lower. Okay. You hit resistance, and it looks like you're trending lower. You're going to gap fill, probably get a bounce there. I don't know. I'm not sure. The long-term target for this one should be down here, but this is not going to probably do this until the mania in the market, the euphoria in the market starts to wash out. And so, while you have the tech stocks holding up, it pumps everybody up. And so they're going to be buying dips on anything and everything. So, yeah. Let's see. Lots of ARC. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Maybe that's kind of the late to the party rally stuff. So you got resistance right there. Let me get rid of this trend line because, well, still holding that, actually. It's kind of funny. See this trend line here. They started to break, but see where they closed Friday? Right at the trend line. So I'll leave it, but you do have big resistance right there at 45.78. You're so close. You have the, I think it's probably going to pop it, maybe run up to this 52 area and put in a divergent high. I don't know, maybe not, but a break of that, you're probably going to run up to some other resistance levels. This is a divergent low on the daily, though. You see this right there? Okay, that's a divergent low on the daily. So, I mean, you did get a run out of it. What was that run? 50%? I think there might be a little more upside in this one. I can't say for sure, but I could see a little more upside and put in a negative divergence, confirm that negative divergence. Right now, you don't have negative divergence because you haven't made a new high in price. You make a new high in price with lower momentum and then confirm that, then, that would start to set this up for a short trade. But right now, you don't have that divergence, negative divergence. So I could see this continuing higher in the near term. Wire. What is wire? I don't know what this one is. Probably something like that for our trend. Trending higher. No real divergence. No negative divergence, really. Uptrend. That's it. That's all I could say on that one. It's in an uptrend. I don't know what these guys do. Electrical products. Probably kind of an inflation trade. To me, looks like it's in an uptrend. I don't see any indication of a trend reversal. It's right here in the middle, so I don't want to buy there. I'd want to buy at support, But to me, it looks like an uptrend. All right, so that's it in that one. I'm going to do two more, guys, and then wrap up. NVIDIA, I know you got, NVIDIA, I think, did it make a new high? I know it was kind of running. Yeah, so NVIDIA's got negative divergence on this most recent high. You can see it here on the daily. Let me get rid of this. It's just right there on the daily. Not confirmed yet, though. See the PPO? You haven't quite crossed down. So kind of whippy right there. And then, so this one is really, because it's kind of a mania stock, you almost have to like actively trade it until you start getting bigger breakdowns. There's kind of this uptrend here that was running up. It did break and back tested and started to roll. So I think we probably pull back and go lower. But how much lower is really hard to say. I mean, you had this gap up. So, the most I'd be willing to say right now from here is maybe back down to that gap. Now, if you enter the gap, you're likely going to fill it. So that's it. But from here, I can't, we haven't entered the gap. So most I'd be willing to let it go is probably down to that 367.50-ish area. But you start to break down. And all right, if you enter the gap, you're likely going to fill it. And if you do that, you're probably going to come in with this trend line here, this potential trend line. And then you can look at SOX, because SOX is going to go where NVIDIA goes, because SOX is now, NVIDIA is the heavy hitter. And this is your, this is an hourly chart of the semiconductors starting to break. I'm not in love with it yet. I want to see it break this 504-ish. That was your former reaction high and kind of a support shelf here. So we break that, I think we could start to drop. And that's an hourly chart. So where do we drop? I think we drop to this trend line right there. And also 445 is decent support. Okay, so you break that level here, I think you start to drop and maybe hit that area of support. Could be a trade there. That would be a drop of 12% or so. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to do one more, then I'm going to wrap up. There was one that someone wanted. Target, starting to run. I know that. Well, kind of. Hit resistance. There's resistance there. Resistance. And you got close enough. Seller stepped in early, and they rejected it. So there's no bullish divergence. I mean, there is bigger picture, big picture. There is from there, You do have bullish divergence, on the PPO. At this point, what I would look for is, and again, this was the trade I was calling for. Is, it looked like it was breaking this downtrend. I figured it was going to run up to here. It did, and then it got rejected. So at this point, I'd want to, you break back above that former support, which is now resistance. It's about at 140. We'll call it 140, benefit of the doubt. Nice solid break. You look for a good green breakout candle above there, and that would be a buy signal because that would be a false breakdown. Okay, this would be a false breakdown bear trap. You get that, and this is a pretty long, pretty big consolidation range. I think you could have the momentum to move up to the top of the range. I got to mark this out right here. Oh, let me get the... there's the kind of the top of this range, and then there is a gap to fill up there. So, at a minimum, maybe a move up to about that 185-ish area. That's if you see a false breakdown, okay? So that would be key on that one. Could be there. There might be a trade there, all right? Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. That's all I got. Drop me a thumbs up on your way out. Hopefully you're finding value in the content. Don't ever expect me to get every trade right, so position size is proper. Risk management, is important. Stopping out, taking positions at key levels, knowing when you're wrong, knowing when you're right, and to add, to add to trades. It's all part of it. So I will catch you guys on the next one. Market should be closed on Monday, I believe. So I'll probably see you guys on Tuesday. All right. Take care. Bye.